conception of determined by nirupita. I have translated nirupita as determined by and avachedaka as limited by. So X is limited by Y if and only if. IFF means if and only if. X and Y are properties. It has been used in different senses by Nyaya philosophers, but this is the predominant use of Nyaya philosophers. X and Y are properties. X is a relational property. X is a relational property, as I mentioned, Sakkata. Sakko means referent or reference, and Sakkata means the role it is playing in this context. This is the meaning of the word ta, the role it is playing. The same thing can play in different roles in different contexts. All right? So X is a relational property, and C, third condition, the property Y is a mode of presentation of the object where the relational property X resides. X is limited by Y. That means Sakkata avachedaka. Sakkata, avachedaka, and Sakkata, both of them are properties. X is a relational property. Sakkata is a relational property. And the property Y resides or is a mode of presentation of the object where the relational property X resides. So that is the formal definition of avachedaka. X is limited by Y. And X is determined by Y, nirupita, if and only if both X and Y are relational properties of correlatives. That means how avachedakata and sakkata are related. They are relational properties, both of them, and they are determined by each other, like east and west. If there is east, then there will be west also. In this context, it is to be noted that the term limiter has been used in various senses in the Nyaya literature. But in the context of meaning, the term limiter closely corresponds to Frege's use of the term sense, at least some of the uses of the term sense. And as I have mentioned, all of you look at my discussion of Frege, that he has used the term sense in 6 senses. Same thing, Russell has used the term logically proper name in 6 ways. So the limiter is a mode of presentation which uniquely determines the referent or the reference of a term. Gotto is the limiter which uniquely determines the cows. This use of the term limiter is predominant in the later development of the Nyaya philosophy, Nobunaya. But it has been used in different senses. In this context, I would like to mention that the third member of the meaning complex is considered as the reason or the ground for applying a term to an object or objects to which it applies. In the technical language of the Nyaya, this feature of the term, third member of, is expressed by the term pravitti nimitta. Shakkata avachedaka and pravitti nimitta. Later on, Nyaya philosophers have used the term pravitti nimitta for the third member of the meaning content. So I have discussed now what is the meaning of the word go or cow. Meaning of the word cow consists of three members. One is particular cows, another is cowness, and the relation of cowness to particular cows. This is the view of Nobunaya philosophers, especially Jagadisha. This is the view of Nobunaya philosophers, Jagadisha. So you have to know Nobunaya philosophers, Jagadisha also, and you can read his books. Unfortunately, they have not been properly translated into English, but Madhusudan, Pandit Madhusudan Nayacharya has translated into Bengali, Sanskritized Bengali. But there is no English version of it. So we require nearly 1,000 scholars who will be working in this field. 1,000. And each one of you is 1 in 10 millions. Each one of you. Your dedication is exemplary. You are dedicated to philosophy because nobody wants to study. It is so difficult. But once you are used to it, then you will enjoy. And you can correlate with Western philosophy and you can see the subtlety of Nobunaya. And it can be developed to solve the problems of Western philosophy. Now, pravitti nimitta, shakkata avachedaka is called also pravitti nimitta by the later Nyaya philosophers. And I have translated pravitti nimitta or shakkata avachedaka of a term need not be a universal property or class character, but it is accepted as a universal in the case of a class expression such as cow. Pravitti nimitta or shakkata avachedaka need not be a universal. And I have translated pravitti nimitta as the reason for applying the term to the objects to which it applies. Is it clear to everybody? That is called pravitti nimitta.
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Since the reason for applying the term cow to cow individuals is the universal cowness, the pravitti nimitta of the term cow is also considered as cowness. But the pravitti nimitta of the term animal would be a complex property. The property of having a tail and hairy body, which is not a universal or class character. In the case of animal, it is not a class character, jati, but it is a complex property. Lomo langulo botto. I have translated as having a tail and a hairy body. So, animals, and the word animal refers to animals, particular individual animals, and the pravitti nimitta or shakkata avachedaka is having a tail and a hairy body, which is not a universal class. Universal jati is non-composite. Jati is atomic. But lomo langulo botto is a complex property. In the case of a definite description, such as the father of John, the pravitti nimitta would be a complex property, the property of being the father of John. Similarly, in the case of proper names such as John, according to some Nyaya philosophers, the pravitti nimitta is the uniqueness of the individual John. We are going to discuss what would be the pravitti nimitta in the case of proper names. So long as we discussed general terms, now we will discuss singular terms. Singular terms include John, Tom, Wellington. These expressions as well as definite descriptions, the father of John. In the case of father of John, the property of being the father of John will be pravitti nimitta.
Sir, why Gotta or cowness is atomic and animal is complex?
Gotto, that is the definition of jati.
Jati. So, because it is
definition of jati is akhanda upad, akhanda. It is not divisible.
And why animal is divisible? Because more than one quality is
That's
mentioned.
right. More than one properties have been mentioned. Lomo langulo botto.
So if
having
the
a tail
is different,
and hairy body.
If the convention is different, for example, zoology, just to differentiate
That's
from
right.
plant,
That's
then
right.
then it would be different, yes.
Yes, I remember once a student of medical science was my student, and he mentioned a lot of examples from medical science. So you can construct medical science also along this line. So we are going to discuss what would be the pravitti nimitta or shakkata avachedaka of the term John or Wellington or India. What would be the shakkata avachedaka or the pravitti nimitta? Pravitti nimitta is a term which has been coined by many Nyaya philosophers. As to the exact nature of pravritti nimitta, there is some difference of opinion among the Nyaya philosophers. According to Vardhamana Upadhyaya is the son of Gangesha. The definition of pravritti nimitta of a term can be stated in the following ways. He has considered pravritti nimitta as a term which refers to three properties. One, X is a pravritti nimitta of the term Y. X is a part of the meaning complex of the term Y. That means Gotto becomes part of the meaning complex. Lomo langulo vatto becomes the part of the meaning complex. John Hood becomes the part of the meaning complex of the term John. And what John Hood is, we will discuss in detail. So this is the first condition. Second condition is X qualifies the referent or the reference of the term Y. It qualifies. So cowness will qualify particular cows. Similarly, longo lambulo vatto will qualify all the animals. Similarly, John Hood would qualify John. And third one is X appears as the qualifier when you remember the referent or the referents of Y. At epistemic level, it will appear as the qualifier. When I think of particular cows, then Gotta will appear as a qualifier. It is to be noted that the definition of the term pravritti nimitta emphasizes both the epistemic and the semantic nature of it, so that Western philosophers can understand that it is a semantic as well as epistemic concept. And I mentioned before the conception of semantics, syntax, and pragmatics. Language you can study in three ways. One is syntax, means rules of formation and transformation. And semantics, what it refers to, what language refers to. And everything else will be pragmatics. According to David Lewis, I talked to him. He used to visit Wellington 40 years ago. So I talked to him. At the semantic level, it is something which belongs to or qualifies the referent or the referents of a term. At the level of thought, it is a qualifier of a qualificand which corresponds to the referent or referents of a term. When you think of cow, a particular cow, then it appears, Gotta appears as a qualifier. To use the Phrygian language or terminology, it belongs to the object and it is a mode of presentation of the object. This is how I am trying to correlate with Frege's use of the term, so that Western philosophers can understand. But this definition of Vardhamana Upadhyaya has not been accepted by some followers of the Naiyāyika philosophers. The definition of Gadadhara in Naiyāyika is slightly different from Vardhamana. According to him, Gadadhara, the pravitti nimitta of a term, is a part of the meaning complex, and it occurs or belongs to the referent or referents of a term, which is another member of the meaning complex. Gadadhara's definition does not include the third condition of Vardhamana Upadhyaya. So within Naiyāyika, there is a difference of opinion. So he has dropped the third condition, that when I think of cow, cowness does not appear. But cowness is part of the meaning complex, and it qualifies the referent. All right? And regarding Gadadhara, I got a book called Bharatiya Darshana Kosha in Bengali, written by Dinesh Chandra Bhattacharya Shastri and Sri Mohan Bhattacharya. And their plan was to write Darshana Kosha for all the systems, but unfortunately, they have passed away. And my guru also, another guru, Dinesh Chandra Shastri, as I mentioned before, he went at the age of 10 to Varanasi to study at the turn of the last century, means around 1900 or 1910 might be. And he was dedicated to it. And his work, to be translated, he wrote in Sanskrit, 400 pages, Bharatiya Darshane Monovigyan. That means psychology of Indian philosophy, which no one has read and which no one has translated. But I think it is available at the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, because he trained all the sannyasis. He used to give lectures. But he died in utter misery. You cannot think of such a great Pandit. Now, Gadadhara wrote 64 Vada Grantha. 64. It has to be mentioned when you compare with Western philosophers. And Shaktivada, Bhutpattivada, Muktivada, Vidhi Sarupa Vichara, Vishayatavada, ityadi, 64 Vada Grantha. And he ended up with a tika commentary on Kavya Prakasha, also on literature. And I am not sure whether 64 his books are available or not. Perhaps most of them are lost. So this is another field where you can explore. So Gadadhara has dropped the third condition, but Raghunatha Shiromani another Naiyāyika, I will call him young Turk. You know, young Turk is an expression who are radical. Radical. He has revolutionized Nobunaya philosophy, Raghunath. And Pandit Madhusudan Nayacharya wrote commentary in Sanskritized Bengali on him. He has further simplified the definition of pravritti nimitta. He is willing to drop the first condition of pravritti nimitta from Vardhamana's definition of this term. That is to say, the pravritti nimitta of a term need not be a part of the meaning complex of it. Pravritti nimitta, cowness, need not be the part of the meaning complex. So, we have development of pravritti nimitta of the term. And I am emphasizing Raghunatha's definition. So Raghunatha is willing to drop the first condition of pravritti nimitta. That is to say, the pravritti nimitta of a term need not be a part of the meaning complex of it. According to his view, the pravritti nimitta of a term is something which indicates the referent or the referents of a term. It is an indicator, upalakshana. It is an indicator, upalakshana, of the object to which a term applies. The view of Raghunatha corresponds to the referential description of Kripke. Here I got something I can compare with Kripke. Kripke is talking about referential definite description. And referential definite description and attributive definite description. I refer to the work of Donnellan, and I mentioned the book also of Donnellan, means edited volume, in which his article is included. It is a wonderful article on referential definite description.
Sir,
now,
qualifier, sir, one simple question. The qualifier mentioned in the second condition and this upalakshana are the same thing?
upalakshana, upalakshana sometimes it is a qualifier, so long as it indicates the object. So I am comparing upalakshana with referential definite description. Referential definite description would be 4 types. I mentioned before 3 types. Now, Kripke said, who is Aristotle? The teacher of Alexander the Great. The teacher of Alexander the Great refers to Aristotle. In another possible world, Aristotle is there, but he is not the teacher of Alexander the Great. So, in this world, he has a property. What is the property? Being the teacher of Alexander the Great. But in another world, he is not the teacher of Alexander the Great. Now, according to Raghunatha ceremony, which house is John's? The house where crows are sitting. Kakobat Griha. Kakobat. That means you are indicating a house where the crows are sitting. That is John's house. Next moment, after a few minutes, crows disappear. But you succeeded in locating the house of John. Now, I would like to mention here that Kripke's property was valid for this world. The property of being the teacher of Alexander the Great. But in another world, it is not valid. He does not have that property. But in the case of Raghunatha ceremony, it is a contingent property. It is a property that holds good for a few minutes, but later on it disappears. Okay? So,
yes. Sir, it can also...
one property is always present in this world. Another property is temporary for a few minutes. And third one is, who is John? The person who is drinking champagne in his glass. You can sort out the person, but he is not drinking champagne. He is drinking water. This is third one, okay? All of them are referential definite descriptions. All of them. And the fourth one is, it indicates an object, but it is not true of that object. Even partly not true of that object. You can sit here and your wife can sit there, although she is not his wife. But you can understand who has been referred to. So, referential definite descriptions can be used in 4 ways. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir, you mentioned this earlier also. But if I use a rigid designator or something essential property,
rigid designator, then it is true of that object in all possible worlds. For example, what is gold? The metal with the atomic number 79. That is rigid designator.
Is it falls under this Upalakshana concept because it is indicating?
Yes, yes, I pointed out here. Here, the view of Raghunatha corresponds to the referential definite description of Kripke. As according to Kripke, the term the teacher of Alexander the Great fixes the referent of the term Aristotle. So according to Raghunatha, the term, the property of being the locus of sound fixes the referent of the term Akasha. Akasha is what? What is Akasha? We point out the property of being the locus of sound. Sound resides in Akasha. which is usually translated as sky or ether. Similar is the case with other terms such as cow. Cowness is, which is pravritti nimitta of the term cow, is not part of the meaning complex of it. Cowness indicates the reference of the term cow. In other words, it also fixes the referent of the word cow. And I have mentioned from Donnellan other examples. Which example? Who is John? The person who is holding a glass with champagne in it. But he is not drinking champagne. But you can figure out. And long time ago, my student pointed out, you can sit here and your wife can sit there. She is not his wife, but you understand who has been referred to. So upalakkhana can be used in 4 senses. Similarly, referential definite description can be used in 4 senses. So there is similarity with Kripke. But here we have more in it. Our view, our above discussion of pravritti nimitta reveals certain striking similarities with the views of Frege and Kripke. The view of Vardhamana closely corresponds with that of Frege, while the view of Raghunatha is similar to Kripke's method of fixing the referent of a name in terms of a referential definite description. Kripke is pointing out that the teacher of Alexander the Great is not an essential property of Aristotle. It is used to fix the referent of the term. So you can realize now how deeper is Navya. But these things remain totally unknown to the Western philosophers. And I have mentioned here 4 senses of definite or referential description. Now I am moving to something else, because singular terms include not only John, Tom, but also the father of Tom. According to Nyaya philosophers, definite descriptions are sentences. So I am pointing out what a sentence is and what is called understanding the meaning of a sentence. So now let us say a few words about the meaning of a sentence or complex expression. According to Nyaya, any complex expression is a sentence. For example, pachati, pach plus ti is pachati, cooks, cook plus s in English. That is also a sentence. Rama kandulam pachati. Rama itself is a sentence. Any 2 morphemes related by syntactic relation is called a sentence, according to Nyaya.
Sir, if I say Rama alone, and nothing else, then also it is a
Rama
sentence.
itself is a sentence because Ram, no, Ram plus ha.
Yes, that.
Tundulam, tundul
Yes,
plus
yes,
om.
yes,
Pachati, poch plus ti.
yes. Vibhakti is there.
That's right. So I am introducing now, since the Nayak explanation of the meaning of a sentence is analogous to that of the meaning of a complex term, such as the author of Waverley. The author of Waverley is itself is a sentence. The winged horse itself is a sentence. This discussion would be useful for our purpose in the context of singular terms. Now, Russell said, in the context of definite description, the author of Waverley is not a proper expression. The author of Waverley exists is a sentence, but the term the author of Waverley itself is not a sentence. But according to Naiyāyika, the author of Waverley itself is a sentence, and the author of Waverley exists is a larger sentence. Now, regarding the sentence, in this context, it is to be noted that the Naiyāyika has drawn the distinction among the terms sentence, vakya, meaning of a sentence, vakartha, and understanding the meaning of a sentence, vakartha bodha. And vakartha bodha is also called shabda bodha or annaya bodha. So there are three expressions for vakartha bodha.
Sir, sorry to go back. Will it work in English also if I just say, because Vibhakti is not there, will it work in English?
Now, what I did, I introduced like cooks, cook plus S. And in English, Vibhakti disappeared. But some cases they have retained. Like Ram is cooking rice. Is cooking. Is cooking, cook plus present tense. Rama cooked rice. Cook plus ed. So Vibhakti is there. In some cases, Vibhakti is there. I got another paper, another two papers, where I have discussed conditions for understanding the meaning of a sentence, Naiyāyika and Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is development of my guru's discussion, because in Advaita Vedanta, it has not been mentioned. All the conditions for understanding the meaning of a sentence. And in Naiyāyika, it is mentioned. So,
এরপরে ওইটা একটু পড়াবেন, এইটা হয়ে গেলে। Sorry, sir.
no, নিশ্চয়, all of them are related to each other. And another paper you can read also, levels of meaning, where I have discussed Mimamsa as well as Naiyāyika levels of meaning. And my contribution is that I have mentioned 6 levels of meaning. So you can, it is a holistic system. in order to understand one concept properly, you have to understand many other concepts. So, a sentence, meaning of a sentence, and understanding the meaning of a sentence. According to the Nyaya, a sentence is an ordered set of meaningful expressions or morphemes which are related by syntactic rules. Morpheme is minimal meaning bearing expression is the morpheme. So Cook plus S, each of them is a morpheme. Each of them is a morpheme, okay? Meaning bearing unit. So when two expressions, two morphemes are related by syntactic rules. By syntactic rules, what is syntax? Syntax is the rules of formation and the rules of transformation. So we join Cook plus S, cooks, Vachati, watch plus T, Cook plus S. Not the other way. S plus cook is not an expression, is not a sentence. It is an expression, but not a sentence.
Ordered set is
not a well-formed sentence.
Yes.
Syntax deals with well-formedness. What is called well-formed? S plus cook is not well-formed, but cooks is well-formed. In other words, a sequence of morphemes having mutual syntactic expectancy, they call it akanka, would constitute a sentence. So what is a sentence? A set of morphemes related to each other by syntactic rules. The rule says that cook will come first and S will come second. That is syntax. The rules of formation. They call it akanka. The meaning of a sentence is not just the function of the meaning of its parts, which are expressions. Here we come across a striking similarity between Montagu semantics and the Nyaya semantics. The meaning of this sentence is not just the function of its parts. The syntax also contributes something to its meaning. Syntax contributes what it contributes? The relation between the parts. The Nyaya claims that the meaning of a sentence FA let us say rate table. Rate table. A rate table. The meaning of this sentence, which is a sentence in Nyaya, it is not a term. It is a sentence itself, because rate is related to table by syntactic relation. The meaning of it is not just a function of a red color and a table, but relation is also involved, which is the contribution of syntax. And in this respect, Montagu semantics is very complex. It is set theoretic semantics, and there is a similarity with Montagu semantics. There is a book of Montagu, and Montagu's view has been mentioned in another voluminous book.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I just wanted to ask whether we can discuss here the differences between the Naiyāyikas and Mīmānsakas views on these, like language theory and meaning, etc., like Abhihitanvayavad and Anvitavidanvad, etc. Because the first view
That I have discussed in my paper, levels of meaning.
right, sir. I have presented a paper on the same. I discussed about your views. I presented a paper in a national seminar here in BHU. But basically, sir, this part, like a sentence is not just the function of the meanings of its part, which are expressions. So this, I think, is the view which is being rejected by the Naiyāyikas, is mainly of Mīmānsakas, Anvita Vidanvad. So here can we elaborate it, sir?
Now the thing is the relation. How do you get the relation? Relation according to Naya view, and it is simpler than other views. It is the contribution of syntax.
Right, sir.
I discussed there Annita Abhidhana.
Anvita Vidhanvad and Abhihitanvayavad. These are the two theories we discuss.
Two theories, and I have pointed out that it is difficult for them to explain this relation.
Right,
This
sir.
relation, Naiyāyika have mentioned that it is the contribution of syntax. Syntax, which is Akanka Bhash, Akanka, contribution of Akanka. Akanka I have translated as syntax. So you have to look up two papers. One is Conditions for Understanding the Meaning of a Sentence, Naya, and
Like
Advaita Vedanta.
Akanksha, Yogyata, Sannidhi, Tatparya, etc.
That's right. As well as levels of meaning.
Levels of meaning. Right, sir.
Meaning.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. You can ask any question you like. Moreover, the order of the morphemes will take care of the scope notations in terms of which we disambiguate an ambiguous expression. The order will take care of ambiguous expressions. For example, in Chomsky or Chomskyan semantics, there is this expression, this sentence is ambiguous. Vegetarians do not know how good meat tastes. One is good meat, and another is meat tastes. How good meat tastes, and another is good meat. But Naya can discuss. So Naya can foresee lot of things, and their discussion is very accurate, and they have solved some of the problems raised by contemporary semanticists like Chomsky and others. So Now philosophers can disambiguate ambiguous expressions by order, by scope notation. Now let us consider the expression a blue pot, or a pot is blue. Nilo ghato. I have translated in two ways. A blue pot, which is also a sentence, and in proper English, you can say a pot is blue. The meaning of this expression would include the relation between the referents corresponding to the terms a pot and blue. The relation, which is part of the meaning of every complex, meaningful expression, is due to syntactic expectancy. I have translated the word akanksha as syntactic expectancy between the expressions or the morphemes which occur in a complex expression. So, a pot is blue or a blue pot. Here, how blue color is related to a pot will be the meaning of the term or the sentence, a blue pot. Inherence relation. It implies inherence relation. So the meaning complex will include the relation between the referents of the two terms. In the above example, it is a relation between a pot and a particular blue color. You have to remember that all colors are particulars. A blue pot, when I say, I am referring to a particular blue color. Western philosophers do not understand completely that the referent is a particular blue color. In the above example, it is a relation between a pot and a particular blue color. Particular blue color. You cannot say simply blue color. And this relation is called inherence in the ontology of the Naiyāyika. You can change the ontology if necessary.
Samvaya Sambandha.
That's right. In this context, it is to be noted that according to Naiyāyika, all relations are considered as dyadic. It is a new point. Relations are considered as dyadic. Russell, in the context of belief, which he has abandoned later on, he claimed that belief context is a four-term relation. Othello believes that Desdemona loves Cassio. He included R as a relation, fourth term. What are the four terms? Desdemona loves Cassio. Desdemona loves Cassio. Four terms. But according to Naiyāyika, all relations are dyadic. Complex relations are...
Sir, what was the fourth one in case of Desdemona?
Othello 1.
Desdemona 2, Cassio 3,
Desdemona
and Love.
2
Loves is the
and
fourth.
loves.
Yes.
That is his explanation of belief sentence. But he rejected that one later on, which I have mentioned in my paper on belief sentences. So if you have three terms, A, B, C, then you have relation between B and C, and then this complex relation between A and BC.
So, sir, what about complex relations? Like
Complex relation set, it is a set of dyadic relations.
okay, where too many sets are involved, and
That's
which
right.
is making it complex. But each and every individual relation is dyadic in its nature.
Yes, dyadic relation. For example, if I say a man with red iron mask is in this room.
Yeah.
Now, four things are mentioned. This room, a
A
man,
man, a red hat, and
iron mask, a red
Hmm.
color. Now, Naiyāyika would consider iron mask with red color as one. Then iron mask with red color qualifying individual person as another. And the relation between that individual person having iron mask with the room as another. You got the point?
Yes, sir. Hmm.
So all relations are dyadic. All complex expressions would be considered as sets of ordered pairs, and all higher ordered pairs sets would be reducible to a set of ordered pairs. So all of them are to be reducible to sets of ordered pairs. Ordered pair means only two.
Two. Hmm.
Since all relations are dyadic and a complex expression is a set of ordered pair, the Naiyāyika can disambiguate an ambiguous expression of ordinary language which is due to scope notations. As I pointed out, vegetarians do not know how good meat tastes. Naiyāyika can disambiguate. The Naiyāyika has drawn a distinction between the meaning of a sentence or complex expression and understanding the meaning of a sentence or complex expression. The latter expression means understanding of the relation which is due to syntactic expectancy between the expressions. Understanding the relation अन्वय बोध, शब्द बोध, अन्वय बोध.
या वाक्यार्थ बोध.
They are equivalent.
Hmm.
The conditions for understanding the meaning of a sentence would include semantic expectancy, yogyata, between the referents of the expressions which occur in a sentence and the spatiotemporal contiguity or proximity, sannidhi, between the expressions in addition to the syntactic expectancy, akankha, between the expressions. So understanding the meaning of a sentence would include much more. A sentence would be ordered morphemes having syntactic relation. But understanding the meaning of a sentence would include more. One is Sonnidhi. If I write cook in one place and S in another place, you will not understand. Similarly,
If we utter the same in verbal
that's right.
expression.
So Sannidhi, how much gap will be there? It is an empirical question.
In both is spatio-temporal.
Yes, that means cook and S should be in close proximity.
Yeah.
And some sentences are there whose meanings we do not understand. He is irrigating the field with fire. Bonnina Sinchati. He is irrigating the field with fire, or she is irrigating the field with fire. Because we know that irrigation is done by water. So this one will prevent the understanding of he is irrigating or she is irrigating the field with fire. That is called
Yogyata. Semantic competency.
yes, yogata. I have translated as semantic competency.
Sir, if we add these three conditions, means Akanka, Yogyata, and Sannidhi, all of them can be given concrete description. If it is done, so like a set theoretic description, what I'm trying to say, understanding without referring to any psychological factor, we can give a logical description.
Psychological factor that we do not have contradiction at the level of thought. And I got a paper on Naiyāyika conception of law of contradiction. And I have compared with Aristotle and how Naiyāyika has overcome the shortcomings of Aristotle. And for Aristotle, view on law of contradiction, you can read a paper published in 1910 by
Singer.
By I think
The
by
Springer one, there was
Lukasiewicz,
Lukasiewicz, yes.
long time ago, Lukasiewicz, which was translated in 1970 into English. So I got the English version of it, and he has pointed out some of the shortcomings of Aristotle, which is not present in Naiyāyika. And I have compared with contemporary philosophy as well as with other logicians, and Naiyāyika has overcome their shortcomings. For example, G. Moore says contradiction is not a meaningful expression. It is another field. And if time permits, I will discuss with the Naiyāyika view of contradiction.
Sure, sir, please discuss. This is very interesting and I want to read it. I'm searching, sir. This paper is not here in this, anthology we have.
It is
writings.
not published as a separate paper.
Oh, where can we find that paper of yours, sir?
It is included, I think, in my a long paper, which I would like to publish as in a book form, Naiyāyika on logical thought. which
Okay,
is
okay, sir.
Springer has published. Now on logical thought, I got this one.
So is it available? This.
Yes, it is
Sir,
available. It is available.
Okay.
This one published by Springer in a book form and edited by S. Sarukai and Chakrabarty,
Okay, what's the
logician,
title, sir?
mathematician Mihir Chakrabarty.
Sundar
Okay,
Mihir
sir.
Sarukkai.
Mihir Chakrabarty, mathematician. He was at Calcutta University, and I think he knows symbolic logic, and both of them
Sir,
edited.
repeat the title of the paper once again, sir. Repeat just the title.
Title is The Naiyāyika on Logical Thought.
The Naiyāyika on logical thought. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, our limitation of time has come. So just as a reminder,
Okay.
a very interesting
Okay.
point, but
So, for example, for this reason, according to Naiyāyika, the sentence like he irrigates the field with fire do not generate any cognition in the hearer or the speaker, although they are meaningful sentences. So, sentence is one thing, meaning of a sentence is another thing, and understanding the meaning of a sentence is third thing. So even if we have sentence, we may not understand it. That is to say, we do not understand the meaning of such sentences, although they are meaningful sentences. They are sentences and they have a meaning. From this distinction, it follows that there is no one-to-one relation between the members of the sets corresponding to the meaningful sentence or sentence and understanding the meaning of a sentence. There is no one-to-one relation. It is a set theoretic concept. That one-to-one relation is not there. The set which corresponds to understanding the meaning of a sentence would be a proper subset of the set which corresponds to sentence or vakarth. That means there will be less number of members in the set understanding the meaning of a sentence. So I will recommend you to study also set theory.
Sure, sir.
Especially symbolic logic and set theory. Would be a proper subset. Moreover, according to the Naiyāyika, the identity sentence of the form A is A or A is A or the term satisfying fx is fx. The term satisfying fx is the term satisfying fx. It is symbolic presentation of the author of Waverley is the author of Waverley. John is John. Do not give rise to understanding of this sentence. Similarly, the author of Waverley is the author of Waverley. Do not give rise to the understanding of this sentence, although they are perfectly meaningful sentences.
Like tautological sentences don't have
That's
any
right.
meaning.
A
Even if
contradictory
they seem,
sentence of the form and A, which is F and not F, do not generate any cognition in a hearer or a speaker. So contradictory sentence do not generate any cognition, but they are perfect sentences and they have a truth value. That I have discussed in some of my papers, how to assign truth value to them. As well as A is A, John is John, do not give rise to understanding the meaning of this sentence, although they are perfect sentences. From this, it does not follow that an identity or a self-contradictory sentence is meaningless. Both an identity sentence and a self-contradictory sentence are perfectly meaningful expressions, and each of them would receive a truth value, truth or falsehood. That is an ingenious attempt of the Nyaya philosophers to assign a truth value to them, although it does not give rise to a cognition. The table which is red is not red. Contradiction. There is no contradiction at the level of thought, according to Nyaya. There is no contradiction at the level of reality, at the level of thought also. Contradiction is at the level of sentence only.
Sir, can you repeat the red example again? Just that red is not.
the table is red and the
the-
table is not red.
The table, the red table is not red. The red table, the table which is red is not red, or the red table is not red.
It has a
Sir,
truth.
but
That
Not
is a
item red.
contradiction.
so here one can ask that it is only possible in the what we can say bivalence logic only, like in fuzzy logic, multi-valued logic, it could be said like it
That's
can
right.
happen.
Yeah, and now I have discussed fuzzy logic and all these. I have mentioned in my paper on contradiction that they have not developed yet proper logic, because they have to
Right.
abandon some of the rules, either disjunctive syllogism or some other rules they have to discard. So they have not this proper logic they have developed. So another important feature of the Nyaya theory of meaning of a sentence is that the relation which is part of the meaning of a sentence, which is due to syntactic expectancy between the expressions, is not expressed or represented by any expression which occurs in that sentence. For example, the meaning content of the sentence John is John would include the relation of identity, which is not mentioned by any expression. The meaning content will include identity. But the meaning content of John is identical with John would include an additional relation which would relate identical with John to John. In this case, identity would be part of the term of a self-linking Sarupa Sambandha. Now, I have mentioned on this point, the Nyaya analysis is different from Frege's analysis of an identity sentence. According to Frege, the two sentences, the morning star is Venus. The morning star is no other than Venus, do not differ in meaning, he claimed. But according to Nyaya, they are different in meaning. So you have three sentences.
Sir, can we go next time because number one time
Yes,
we are
yes,
getting tired.
I will mention only these three sentences of Frege. Morning star is Venus. Morning star is no other than Venus, and morning star is identical with Venus. He claimed that they have the same meaning. But according to Nyaya philosophy, they do not have the same meaning, although they have the same truth value. If one is true, then all three sentences will be true. But their meaning complex, meaning
different,
would be different. So here we come across something which has gone beyond Frege. Frege is the founder of modern symbolic logic, what we call. He is the founder. And it is modern symbolic logic is called Frege, Russell has extended, and Quine. Quine has extended further. So the logic, symbolic logic we call Frege, Russell, Quine. And then there are fuzzy logic and many variable logic, many other logics. But either they are complex or not developed
Cleared, yeah.
full-fledged logic.
Mhm.
Or
Sir, this
they have
point
to,
about fuzzy logic and many valued logic and why they have not, can you discuss it next day, not to next day, can you discuss
no,
this
no,
point?
I am not discussing. I have mentioned only in my paper on the law of contradiction.
Law of in that in their
Yeah.
Sir, what about contradictions like the cat is dead and alive? I'm talking about quantum mechanics, which discuss basically the
Regarding
notion of
this
probability. Notion of probability comes into picture. Those kind of contradiction we can think of.
Now, cat is alive or dead. It cannot happen according to Nyaya philosophy at the same time, at the same location.
Yes.
So they will include location and time also.
Sir, even in classical
Or
logic.
even perspective, same perspective, from the same perspective, same time, same location, all these are to be included in
Perspective we
stating
can think
the
of
law of
doing a
contradiction.
test, the particular kind of test, the
That's
experiment
right.
that is being conducted.
That's right.
Can
Time and space. So next time I will mention number one is the early Nyaya view of Jayanta and other Nabbo-Nyaya philosophers. Okay?
Sir.
Now my wife is telling light will be off. So, so she is coming. So with this, I would like to offer my pranam to you all for
Pranam to you, sir, and
participating
thank you so much.
this talk. And as I mentioned,
Pranam.
you are
Pranam, sir. Pranam.
all of you are to be respected because you are one in 10 millions. People do not study philosophy, and hardly people study Indian philosophy, and hardly no Bunai.
Pranam, sir.
Right, sir.
Okay.
It